بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد ولله على الناس حج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. It is the right of Allah. Allama explained this ayah started walillahi, walillahi, only for Allah. The objective is only Allah. The purpose is to find Allah. So, as it is said, if you want to last, put Allah first. If you want to last, put Allah first. So, this heart needs to be dedicated to Allah. Hajj is a journey, not of travels, but of conquering the heart. Outwardly we're moving from place to place, but ultimately, internally, we need to conquer this heart with every desire, with every ambition. And this heart needs to be dedicated, secluded only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is reserved for Allah. This heart is faithful to Allah. This heart is enthusiastic for Allah. This heart is keen only for Allah. This heart is committed only for Allah. So a Haji is checking themselves. Nooh alayhi salatu wassalam, when he boarded the ship, لما ركب نوح رأى فيها شيخا, he seen an old man in the ship and he did not recognize him. فقال له نوح ما أدخلك. Nooh alayhi salam asked him, what are you doing here? So this was Iblis, Shaitan. So he gave an answer that we need to write in gold and remember till Qiyamah. دخلت لأصيب قلوب أصحابك. So he had destroyed the whole of humanity, and Iblis would be rejoicing now that they all go into Jahannam, hellfire. So he could have retired, taken a break, take it easy, but he still wasn't contented. The last few people on earth that were saved, Shaitan is saying, I have boarded the ship to take control of the hearts of the inmates. So their hearts will be with me and their bodies be with you. So this is the effort that Shaitan will make, that our bodies will be in salat, our bodies will be externally in front of the Baytullah making tawaf, our bodies, our tongues will be reciting Quran, but our hearts will be somewhere else. Shaitan is saying, I'll control their hearts, they'll be in sajda, but their hearts will be making sajda to me, to the bazaars, to their jobs, to their occupation, to the business deals that they're busy with. So Sahaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised them that even though externally they were in the worst of places, أحب البلاد إلى الله مساجدها وأبغض البلاد إلى الله أسواقها, they were the worst places on earth, the marketplaces, outside the masjid, but their hearts were in the masjid, their hearts were in sync with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah protect one and all. We are in the masjid in front of the Baytullah, but our hearts are outside the Baytullah, making tawaf in the bazaars and the marketplaces of what shopping we're going to do and what work we're going to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised Sahaba of this noble trait. رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْءٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Then men whom neither trade nor business diverts them from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A different ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُلْهِكُمْ أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. That don't let your properties, your children, divert you from Allah's remembrance. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, O my beloved servants, إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. Hasten to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then that is world, the atonements, the attractions distract you from trivial pursuits, the transient dunya, don't get caught up with that. So, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises Sahaba. Hazrat Abdullah ibn Masood radiyallahu anhu was once in the marketplace, and he seen the adhan go, and people left their businesses, nahadu ila salah, and they rushed towards the masjid. So he said, هؤلاء من الذين ذكر الله في كتابه. These are the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about. رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. So they are not lost in these transactions. They are not overwhelmed by the love of dunya, but actually they are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this bewilderment, this disorientation of dunya, the dunya hasn't stumped them. Likewise, Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anh, he was in the marketplace, and same situation happened. People immediately after hearing the adhan, they closed their businesses and went to the masjid. So Ibn Umar said, فِيهِمْ نَزَلَتْ. This is what Allah is speaking about. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about. Amr ibn Dinar was with Salim, and they passed by a bazaar place in Madinatul Munawwara en route to the masjid. And again, adhan, preparation for salat, people started covering their goods and preparing for salat. فَنَظَرَ سَالِمْ إِلَىٰ أَمْتِعَتِهِمْ لَيْسَ مَعَهَا أَحَدٍ. They left their goods just like that. Oh, it was like anybody could take it, free for all. So Salim read this ayah, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْءٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ Hum ha'ula. And he said, Hum ha'ula. These are the ones. These are the ones. So we need to see how we can be these ones here, these special ones. Muqatil ibn Hayyan used to say that لا يلهم ذلك عن حضور الصلاة وأن يقيموا كما أمرهم الله. That this transaction, this business, this marketplace does not distract him from attending to their salah and establishing it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded them. So the command of Allah, where physically we are there and our hearts are there as well. When the hearts are there, then you don't need so much targheeb and you don't need so much encouragement. So we have to see where these hearts, the heart needs to be captured. The heart needs to be mystified by Allah. It needs to be baffled by Allah. It needs to be spellbound by Allah, engrossed with Allah, absorbed with Allah, preoccupied with Allah. And we shouldn't be vulnerable to the plotting of shaitan and iblis. Mawlana Farouk Sahab, Damat Barakatuh Makki, used to say, he said, when we start our salah, so somebody starts his salah, takbir Allahu Akbar, takbir tahrima, he said there's two leave-ins. One is you leave your home, you leave your shop, you leave your job, you leave your profession, you leave school, you leave madrasa, and you go to the masjid. He said that's one leave-in, which is a physical leave-in. But now when you're in the masjid and you start in your salah, your heart also needs to leave those places. So similarly, a Haji as well. You left home, you left your business, you left your family, you left your loved ones, you left all your luxuries. That was one leave-in. But as your heart left that as well. So we need the outward and we need inward as well. Not only outwardly. Nowadays many things are external outwardly, but internally there's something else. Like a husband addressing his wife, what would you like for your anniversary, my darling wife? So they were preparing for their anniversary, and then he said, oh, how would you like a new wardrobe full of designer labels? The wife said, no, I don't think so. The husband thought again. He said, what about a new Mercedes? Again she looked and then said, no, I don't think so. He said, what about a holiday in Bali? Again, the wife replied, no, I don't think so. So the wife now wanted to instigate the husband. So she said, what I really want is a divorce. What I really want is a divorce. So husband said, a divorce? Sorry, darling, I wasn't planning to spend that much. I wasn't planning to spend that much. So outwardly and inwardly. So the world is like that. Our deen shouldn't be like that. Double standards. Amongst the worst crimes in a country is treason. You are a man and you breached. So double standards. We should be checking ourselves all the time that there isn't this double standards outwardly and inwardly. So it's like a man that was in grief, in sorrow, in distress, and his friend met him and he said, you're looking very sad, depressed, what's the problem? You can confide in me. He said, you know what, don't even talk about it. Said, no, you can tell me, don't worry, get it off your chest. So the man said, I had it all. I had the money, I had a beautiful house, I had the fast car, I had the love of a beautiful woman, and suddenly it was all gone. So I said, what happened? He said, my wife found out. So where we are, where we're supposed to be, a Haji, but his Haji somewhere else. Looks like you're a Haji, looks like you're a Musalli, looks like you're a Da'i, looks like you're a scholar, but inside something else. So we shouldn't get distracted by Iblis and the things of this dunya, and make Akhirat our focus and our attention. Like Thanwi Rahmatullahi encouraging us, the Ummah, to keep our focus on the year after. And he narrated the incident of Shah Abdul Qudoos Rahmatullahi, who used to pass his days in great poverty. And in the house there was hungerness, so when the wife would become restless out of hungerness, he would console her. He would placate her grief, her distress, her sorrow by telling his wife, don't fear, look what Allah will give us in Jannah, what delicious meals, what sumptuous dastarkhans will be prepared for us in Jannah. So now you are hungry, there you won't be hungry. So when the wife would hear this, no matter how much the pangs of hunger had overwhelmed her, she would be reassured and she would be satisfied and contented. So we need to be checking ourselves as well. How much of Akhirat is increasing? How much of shauq for Akhirat is increasing? How much inclination, like we mentioned Hassan Basri, Zahidan fi dunya, disinclination from the dunya. That's a Haji, an inclination to Akhirat. So how genuine am I in my amal, in my ibadat? We have to introspect. When Buzurg went to the marketplace to buy some vegetables, he chose the vegetables, paid for it. The seller looked at the notes and said, "Ye naqli hai, it's counterfeit." His notes are counterfeit. The Buzurg fell unconscious. The storekeeper got some water, got him to regain consciousness, said, Hazrat, Hajja, I don't worry about the money. It's Hajja, you can keep it. Hazrat said, I'm not worried about the vegetables or the money. When you said it was fake, my fake notes couldn't buy me some vegetables. My whole life, my amal I fake. I'm worried on the day of Qiyamah. Allah should not tell me, you did so many Hajj, you did so much Salat, you gave so much Sadaqah, but it was fake. I'm worried about on the day of Qiyamah what's going to happen. So we need to introspect and be checking our amal. Somebody goes to the Baytullah in front of the Hajre Aswad, it becomes like a war zone, a battlefield. Elbowing somebody. So what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? Isn't a believer more valuable than the Baytullah, than the Hajre Aswad? A believer, the honor of a believer, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu in kissing the Hajre Aswad used to say that إِنِّي لَعَالَمُ أَنَّكَ حَجَرٌ لَا تَضُرُّ وَلَا تَنْفَعُ. I know you are a piece of rock stone. You do not benefit, you cannot harm. ولولا أني رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقبلك ما قبلتك. If I had not seen my Habib sallallahu alayhi wasallam kissing you, I wouldn't have kissed you. So the amal behind it, and Quran and Hadith understanding, Allama Tabri has mentioned under this, إنما قال ذلك عمر لأن الناس كانوا, at that era, in that period, people were new to Islam, and he was worried that people would think so, that kissing the stone was of the greatness of the stone, like how the era of ignorance people revered idols. So Umar radiallahu anh mentioned this here to dispel the pagan customs. So Allama Ibn Hajar, Hafiz Ibn Hajar has mentioned that this statement of Umar radiallahu anh gives us a lot of lessons and teaches us a important principle in deen, that whatever your Nabi did, you need to follow it. It is indicating that qawlan and fa'lan, whatever Nabi alayhi salam in action and in speech has told us, we need to follow that. And وأن الإمام إذا خشي على أحد من فعله فساد, when an alim, a scholar, fears fasad in the ummah, any disruption, corruption, then he should ويوضح ذلك, he should explain it in detail. Likewise, people go to the Jamarat. That's also another war zone, a battlefield. People think so, they pelted in the shaitan, so they'll come with their shoes, they'll take out their frustration, they knock in shaitan. So, but internally, have we knocked shaitan? The khaish of shaitan, the ambition of shayateen, is that out of our hearts? So what's inside and what's outside? We need to be checking all the time. So in the olden days, there used to be these bungis, people who used to clean the toilets, and there wasn't a sewage system advanced like nowadays, so they used to go physically and remove the excreta. So one day this bungi was walking and he passed by itar shop, but the fragrance was so beautiful, it was so fragrant, he could not handle it. So he fell unconscious. So people came, they tried to revive him, it didn't work. So one of his associates that was working with him seen him and he recognized him. He said, "Yeah, hamara biradri hai." This is my sati, my body. So he went to go look for some excreta. He brought it close to his nose and he regained consciousness. Why? He was accustomed to that smell. It was his second nature. In perfume, he was not accustomed to that, so he couldn't handle it. But when the excreta came, because he was so used to it, so much in his system, that he became energetic, he became vibrant. So it should not be also that we are so used to dunya, we are so vigorous and energetic when it comes to dunya, that anything to do with dunya, Jamaat comes, "Are you ready to go to the masjid?" "No, my father is not at home," making excuses. So we fall unconscious. The taqaza of deen, to wake up for tahajjud salat, who's ready? We fall unconscious. So when the taqazas of deen come, we fall unconscious. That's the perfume. And when dunya comes, we're unconscious. "Hey, you know what, this weekend here, I will be resting, I can't go in Jamaat." Then his friend phoned him immediately after that and said, "You know what, we need to leave 3 a.m. for fishing Saturday morning. No problem, I'll be ready at 2:30. Don't even message me, I'll be ready." So we need to be checking ourselves all the time. What motivates me? And this journey here, this safar here, how much of my inside needs to get made? So we could do the formalities, do the rituals, but how much of the inside is made? Bishr al-Hafi was on Arafat and he seen a man crying. He was reading some ash'ar, how great is Allah, free from all faults. Even though we should be expressing our thanks to Allah by being in sajda on thorns and heated needles, we will not be able to show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all His bounties on His ni'am, not 1/10, not 100, not 1,000 thereof. Oh Allah, I have not sinned against you. Ya Allah. And he is making dua to Allah and he's crying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Bishr says that I lost sight for him, and I asked people, who is this person? He says Abu Ubaid Khawaas, one of the great saints. So they said about him that for 70 years he never lifted his face up to the heavens, to the sky. When people asked him, he said, I am ashamed, how can I lift up the sinful face to such a great benefactor, to such a great Allah, such a great sustainer and nourisher. So they had such haya that they couldn't even lift their gaze, forget committing guna. The haya of Allah was at that level. So a person committing Hajj, how could he come back with all the impurities of sin and the desire of sin? And now we're in those Mubarak places, in the hotel rooms, people are watching television, watching movies, they're going for entertainment, etc. It's become a mahal, an environment of ghafla. So we need to change that environment and change our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the true azmat and the greatness of these places, and give us tawfiq to fulfill the amal how it should be done. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.